All right, welcome back to TechinqueWOD. Today we're talking about technique and progressions for strict pull-ups. All right, so if you watched episode 180 of Barbell Shrugged, 181.
181.
I even did this one time, and I didn't remember from last time. So episode 181, which I was closer on this take. Last time I said 179. 181, a Barbell Shrugged, we talk about shoulder health and pull-up strength and all the related topics around that. And so today, obviously, we're going to talk about the technique behind pull-ups and progressions. If you can't do a pull-up, how to get to a pull-up, and then if you already can do a single body weight strict pull-up, we can talk about how to make it harder and how to get stronger and kind of go to the next level. That way you can get onto muscle-ups and other advanced gymnastic skills. So as far as technique, there's two things you have to be able to do. You have to be able to get into a good starting position and a good finish position, and then of course you have to eventually connect the two. So if we go to a good starting position, Mike has a good grip on the bar where ideally if you look at his wrist, you can't really see it from the front probably so well, but his wrist is all the way over the bar like this. He's not just hanging on his fingers like this. He's kind of flexed at the wrist just a little bit, and his knuckles are over the top of the bar. That way the bar itself is actually right below all of his calluses, and he has a better grip on the bar in that position, okay? And then also you'll notice that his thumb is all the way around the bar as well. Having his thumb all the way around the bar makes it where he has a better grip on the bar, and he's less likely to lose his grip and fall just like that. So have your thumb all the way around the bar. And then also if Mike hops back up there, no time. Okay. You can see Mike has his feet slightly out in front of him. That kind of automatically puts him in a hollow position where his abs are turned on and his ribs are down. I'll go and do it wrong for a second. Put your feet behind you. See, with his feet behind him, he's not in a terrible position here, but you can see his ribs are kind of popped out and his back is maybe slightly hyperextended. Mike's actually holding a good position here where he's squeezing his glutes and his ribs are not in a terrible position. See if you can do it worse. Go and do like a half a pull-up. There, you see a lot of people doing a pull-up like that where they're kind of making that C shape where they're hyperextending their low back, they're popping their ribs way out, and they're kind of scorpioning.
Get over it.
Yeah, dude, that was my favorite game for so long, Mortal Kombat. I played the shit out of that game when I was like 12 years old. And Killer Instinct. The game was the shit too. So if you scorpion your feet behind you, kind of in this position here where you're bending your knees and you're popping your ribs forward, that's not a very good position to be in. It's okay to go into kind of more global flexion where your hips are forward, you're in full hip extension, you're squeezing your butt and your ribs are down, but once you break and you kind of end up in this position where I get more range of motion out of my low back, that can be very hard on your low back, and it doesn't give you very good pulling mechanics with your upper body either. So you don't want to go into that position. So what you do want to do, if we rewind just a little bit, hop back up, Mike's going to have his feet slightly out in front of him, and by having his feet out in front of him, it kind of turns his abs on a little bit, pulls down his rib cage, and then from there, you can see he's in full shoulder flexion, and when he initiates the pull, he's going to pull his shoulder blades down and back, and then pull himself all the way up to the bar. There you go. Good. And if there you go. So go ahead and hop up just for a second. So you see, as Mike's pulling himself up, he's more in that globally extended position, which again, being globally extended is okay with your ribs down and your butt turned on. That's one style. He wasn't hyperextended with his legs behind him like we just mentioned. The other style is to stay all the way hollow throughout the entire movement. So if he does the other style where he keeps his feet out in front of him, keeps his ribs down, that's the other style for doing a strict pull-up, being in that fully hollow position the entire time. So go ahead and one more time, we'll talk about the final points of performance. Okay, feet out in front, ribs down, fully extended, or rather flexed at the shoulder, elbows locked all the way out straight, and basically he's in a nice solid position here. If you can hang on that position for 30 seconds, you're probably good enough to progress to some other parts of the pull-up. If he hops down. So I like to be able to test that position first, make sure you can get into a full dead hang position and be in a proper position. The other position is to be all the way chin over the bar at the top of the movement, and I like to put a bar right down about collarbone height. That way, for someone who's never done a pull-up before, or they're maybe just not very good at pull-ups, they're not very strong, and they have trouble in that top position, they can just walk up to the bar, set themselves in a perfect position where, again, They have that perfect position with their hand where their calluses are all the way over the bar. The bar is all the way to their collarbones. Their chin is over the bar. They have a neutral neck. They're not like doing this thing where they're reaching and trying to hold, and the bar's actually like way up here. Okay, they're in a good position all the way at the top, and then of course his feet are on the ground right now. What he can do at this point is just try to lift his feet up off the ground and put his feet out in front of him, just like we did that hollow position. Just try to hold this hollow position just like that the whole time. Easier said than done if you were brand new to pull-ups.
Like me.
Like Mike, you've never done pull-ups before. So those are the two places I like to start. Make sure you can do a perfect hang position and a perfect chin over bar position. If you can hold each one of those for 30 seconds, then you're probably strong enough to start working some of the other progressions for pull-ups, which is what we're going to talk about next. What I like to do with people that can't do a full pull-up with their body weight is to not just throw them on a band. I think everyone's relatively comfortable scaling with a band and putting a band underneath your foot and whatnot. So we're not really going to talk about that here today. We're going to talk about other ways to scale pull-ups. Ring rows is another way that people tend to scale pull-ups. There's a lot of value in that. You work some of the same muscle groups, obviously, but it's more of a horizontal pulling pattern where I'm pulling front to back rather than vertically. So today we're going to do kind of a modified ring row, except we're going to do it with more of a vertical pull. So if we look over at Mike, you can set the rings up right around chest height, and then you can put your feet on a box where, with your hips as low as possible, see Mike's still going to be pulling in a pretty vertical fashion. You can see at the bottom it might be hard for him to get all the way into full flexion, but he's getting pretty close. You can probably make some adjustments with the rings and the height of the box and change that positioning around to maybe get that last few degrees of range of motion where instead of only getting to about right here, he can get all the way overhead. But for the most part, I actually really like this. It's something that you can put into a Metcon relatively easily. Most gyms have enough boxes and enough rings to where you could set that up and have a large group class at a CrossFit gym. Throw those in, and you could be doing sets of 10 or 15 or 20 in a workout relatively easily, depending on your population. So that's a good place to start. Another way that I also like to do it, that's a little bit more difficult, but has its set of benefits, is to put a box right behind a pull-up bar and or a barbell. In this case, since all these pull-up bars are pretty high, we use the barbell. And then you can see Mike's putting the top of his foot on the box, and then he's getting all the way up onto his toes as he gets all the way to the top. So he's hanging all the way down. You can see in this case, he actually gets all the way to that full overhead position. And then at the top, it's a little funny at the top if you've done this before, depending on your exact setup. But like in this case, it's hard for Mike to get all the way to the top without having to like kind of push with his leg a little bit and reach. Which is kind of why he's like reaching with his chin a little bit. And the bar rolls a little bit too. So it's not a perfect setup, but I do think there's a lot of value here to this type of drill. Obviously Mike doesn't do this drill very often because he doesn't need to, but as you get used to it, then it becomes a good way to practice pull-ups with just using a percentage of your body weight by having just your feet on the box, where you can actually hang all the way vertical in a separate fashion that you can't really get putting your feet on the box out in front of you, which was the first drill that we showed you. All right, the next exercise that we're going to do in this progression is to move on to an eccentric pull-up, which basically means that you're going to do just the down portion of the pull-up and you're going to go nice and slow while doing it. So if Mike hops up to the top, either by jumping on a box, there you go, hop all the way up to the top, he's in that hollow position, and then he usually will go between 5 and 10 seconds on the way down, something like that. Or in some people's case, you just go, take as much time as you need, go as slow as you possibly can. And in their case, they'll go as slow as they can, but it only lasts 5 or 10 seconds. If you can't do like a 10-second eccentric, can't at least do one 10-second eccentric, then you probably don't need to do, three sets of 5 eccentrics. That's probably still a little bit too much load for you quite yet. You might want to still do the majority of your volume as rep work with all the other scaled variations, and or doing bent rows and other non-pull-up variations that still make the same muscle group stronger. So if Mike hops up there, what I like to do is do like a 2 or 3 second hold at the top, Get a good hold, and then do like 5 or 10 seconds on the way down, nice and slow. And then at the bottom as well, try and do like a 2 or 3 second hold. There you go, beautiful. So what you'll find is that a lot of people, they will be here, and then as they go down, they'll accelerate, and then they'll kind of just fall off at the end. And they won't control the last little bit of the range of motion. They'll kind of just fall all the way through, fall on the ground, then hop back up, and then kind of just fall to the ground again. So if Mike can demo that.
Uh-oh.
All right, kind of like that. Perfect. So if you see your people doing that, it's either an effort thing, a coaching thing, as in they just don't know they're not supposed to do that, or something. And then if you go over there and now they're fully aware of exactly what they are supposed to be doing and not supposed to be doing, and they still can't do it, they're just not physically strong enough, then again, you might want to regress them back to one of the things that we discussed earlier in the video. All right, so obviously if you can do a couple of eccentric pull-ups, then you're well on your way to doing, just strict pull-ups for reps, hopefully. So that's the next variation that people are probably relatively familiar with. So just go and knock out a few strict pull-ups. There you go. So feet out in front, beautiful. See, he's not reaching with his chin. He's pulling the bar underneath his chin. Beautiful.
So fucking jacked. Look at him.
If you want to add a little bit of weight to your pull-up, a couple ways. You can always just put a med ball in between your legs and do it like that. Watch him jump. He hadn't thought about this until just now. Oh, nice job. Oh, no.
Well, it would help if I didn't grab the center.
Okay, if you want, you can just have a partner give it to you. Just like that.
Partner, give it to me, baby.
Give it to your partner. So you can do that. Same thing.
That's after exercise as well.
What was the weight on that?
Oh, it's a massive 4 pounds.
40 pounds.
It's 40 stones.
As I drop the ball and it bounces.
Or you could just, if you have dumbbells work pretty well too. Again, they can just cross their feet. Cross your feet. There you go. Just set it in there just like that. And you can actually do that with relatively heavy weight. It makes it a lot harder to be in that hollow position, but it definitely adds some weight to your pull-ups. I didn't grab any kettlebells, but you can just hook your foot underneath the kettlebell, kind of like this, kind of like that, and just pick up a kettlebell as well. That works pretty good. And then if you actually have a real weight belt where you can actually put it around your waist and strap up some real weight, that's the better way if you're going to actually put on 50, 100, 150, 200 pounds on a weighted pull-up, which people can do, so something to shoot for.
Or you do the Andrea Egger deer pull-up.
Or if you have a very heavy stuffed hunting decoy deer, you could put that between your legs and try to headbutt it on the way.
Yeah, turn it around.
So that's how you can add weight to your pull-up. Also, there's no reason to get stuck in just doing a regular pull-up all the time. There's many other variations of pull-ups you can do. Obviously, you can do a chin-up where your palms are facing you. If I want to demo one chin-up, there you go. I'm actually a really big fan of chin-ups, as I mentioned on the show, because being palm toward you like this, it makes you put your elbow in front of you, and it makes you be very externally rotated, especially at the top of the movement. You're all the way here, which puts your shoulder in a much more stable position, being externally rotated while in full flexion. So I really like to do chin-ups with pretty much any of our athletes. That way they're not stuck just doing regular pull-ups all the time. I think there's a whole nother set of benefits to doing the chin-up. Also, if we're going to use hanging with that supinated grip in that fully flexed position on the bar, I think you get a little more range of motion by being with that grip position. So if you watch Mike hop up on the bar like that, hanging hollow like that, you can see that he's not actually all the way at the bottom. He has a little bit of a angle there, right? And so this is a good drill for guys like Mike to do that are like just a hair out of being able to get into full flexion. They can just hang in that chin-up position and treat it like it's its own separate mobility drill. So I like that a whole lot. Other variations, you could just be creative with it and maybe grab, right here and right there, and do a pull-up on an angle like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Anywhere that you can grab, where you can pull yourself up and down, is a great spot to do a pull-up, in my opinion. You don't have to be even. You could grab one bar here and another bar that's higher, it doesn't necessarily matter. The more variety, the better for the most part. Another one that I like, I think some people call these commando pull-ups, where you grab the bar this way and you go shoulder to shoulder. There you go, beautiful. You could always just throw one of these little V handles. You know, these are common if you have like a cable machine at a Globo gym or something. You can just throw that over like that. Whew.
Godspeed, Mike.
There you go, beautiful. Then you might have to go side to side still. There you go. I actually really like V handles and or anytime you get some parallel bars. So if you have real parallel bars, or the rings are actually a very good choice as well. Anytime your hands are in front of you like this, it's more likely that your elbows are going to be in and you're going to be out of this kind of elbows out, internally rotated position. It puts you externally rotated in front of you. So again, it puts you in a better shoulder position. You're less likely to beat up your shoulders when you're doing pull-ups of that type. Obviously, you could always do strict pull-ups on the rings as well, and there's a million different variations you could do. Just set the rings. Not a lot of people talk about this, but you want to set the ring from the point of your finger to the tip of your elbow. That's called your cubit, and that's how wide the rings should be. So if you're ever setting the rings as far as width, that's where you want to put them. So as far as variations, you could just not think about it at all and just pull and just see where you go, and there's nothing wrong with that. Perfect. Or yeah, you gotta wiggle your legs as much as possible. Okay. Or you can try and intentionally, keep your arms like this, where the rings are flat towards you and your palms are towards you, or you can go even, or you could intentionally keep them out. They're all, none are necessarily better than the other. They're just fun variations to play with. Rope climbing is always a good idea if you do a strict rope climb. Strict rope climb. Without using your legs is obviously going to be good for your vertical pulling strength. But if you have a rope, you can always just do kind of like towel pull-ups.
I don't have grip right now. I haven't done pull-ups in so long. My grip is done today.
Okay. All right, Mike couldn't do a pull-up on the little rope, and so we found an actual athlete to do it for us. So Liz is going to make Mike feel real bad, I hope. Can you do it?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, like it's nothing. She can crank out like 10 of these.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Well done. Good job.
Sorry.
Don't leave CTP hanging. Yeah, I wouldn't give her one either. All right, thanks, Liz. All right, if you want more variations of pull-ups, watch episode 181. We talk all about pull-ups. If you want more TechinqueWOD videos like this one, you can go to barbellshrugged.com. Click on the TechinqueWOD tab at the top of the page, and there are more videos like this in the library. We'll see you another day.
Try it again, Mike.
Oh, he just needed motivation.
Join the conversation every week after the episode over at barbellshrugged.com. This is also where you'll find new episodes of Barbell Shrugged, TechinqueWOD, Nuggets and Pearls, Barbell Business, Get Change, plus new articles every day on our daily blog, written by us, guests of the show, and some of the biggest names in strength and conditioning. So, go there and leave a comment now. Oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. Yay, that's so awesome.
Did you like this video? If so, subscribe to our channel and share this with your friends.
And if you want even more free, awesome resources to help you reach your fitness goals, plus some updates that we only share over email, head over to barbellshrugged.com and sign up for the newsletter.